Hello, Peace Boston. I'm Mo Wilkes. Welcome inside Studio 889 for ERS Plus. I have the pleasure and honor of sitting down with not only a fellow Emerson colleague, cool dude, impeccable dresser.
Thank you,
and
my friend.
An assistant professor and performer who's currently in the Actors Shakespeare Theater production of August Wilson's Gem of the Ocean, which is running now through May 17th. At Hibernian Hall, historic Hibernian Hall in Roxbury. So my research on this play has actually revealed that it's one of the cornerstones of a 10-play cycle because it sets up the thematic foundation for the 20th century experience of African Americans. So we're going to find out more about the production and one of the actors in it. Welcome to Studio 889, the actor portraying Solly Two Kings, Jonathan Kitt. How are you today, man?
Hey, I'm good. How are you, my man?
Very cool. Very cool. So, for the people who don't necessarily know you, I've gotten a chance to know you through Emerson, but briefly describe Jonathan Kitt's acting journey.
Oh, wow. Well, I was introduced to theater at Clark Atlanta University.
Okay.
My HBCU in Atlanta, right there in the Atlanta University system with Morehouse Spelman and Morris Brown.
Okay.
Right? College. And I went to college, not knowing what I wanted to do, and ended up in the mass communications department. And for some reason, I had to declare a major. And I was like, okay, public relations. Okay. Knowing that I don't care anything about the public or relating to it. So
wow.
So why am I doing this? You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I had this idea. I said, you know what? I'm thinking about theater and film, And then also I always tell students, everybody who asked me about my journey, that I was blessed and very, very fortunate and lucky and everything else, right? Stars aligning and everything to have gone to school at the time and come of age at the time when it was a resurgence of Black thought, power, Black art, Black, politics, all kinds of things at that time, social, political activism and everything at that time. So I was right, when Spike Lee had kicked the door open and all these people rushed through, for that 5-year period or whatever it was, right? When you had a lot of Black films being made.
Do the right
and
thing.
They were,
and that,
where it was, Spike Lee, the Hughes brothers, the Hudlin brothers, the sister, Casey Lemons, all these different people.
John Singleton.
All these different, John Singleton, all these different people, the films were quality films.
Right.
And they were people at the top of their intelligence and reflecting true Black life, right?
Okay.
And Black centered. I think of Toni Morrison a lot, saying how she wrote out of the Black lens, that it wasn't about anyone else other than Black, right? And I was fortunate from the community I had come from, originally from New York City, Harlem, but had moved to right outside of Orlando, Florida, Winter Park, Florida, but lived in walking distance of Eatonville, Florida, which is where Zora Neale Hurston is from.
Right.
And it was the first unincorporated Black township, right?
Oh, wow.
So that was my influences. So I was very fortunate, like I say. So I said, well, this film thing, I would love to do movies or whatever. So one of my friends was like, man, it's just like Nike. Just do it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Okay.
So I went and, hard-head, young guy at first, dropped out of my first 2 plays. Finally I got it. It was like, if these adults see something in me that I don't see myself, I need to start really paying attention and actually, listen to what they're doing. I went J.W. Lewis. She was the acting instructor there, and she, anybody from Atlanta, once again, being very blessed, I'm on the tail end of this continuum. I'm like the last of that generation where she taught Kenny Leon, who's the Black guy on Broadway. You know what I mean? She taught, all the Samuel L. Jackson and LaTanya Richardson, his wife, and all these different people. Yeah. If you were in Atlanta at that time, you had to come through Joan. Oh. Because Joan was the real deal. And I'm on the end of that. Because they, Sam got to have them.
He was Morehouse.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I got to be like what? He got to be almost 80, right, or something.
Still looking good.
Like 70 something.
Doing his commercials.
And I know
doing his thing.
Kenny got to be at least 15, 20 years almost older than I am. I guess.
Wow.
Like 15 maybe, 15 years. But so that started me, and then once I graduated from Clark Atlanta University, I want to do film, but doing my first play, Charles Fuller's Zoo Man and the Sign. Because we studied from classic black theater of the Negro Ensemble Company. That's my foundation.
Now, you just say the name that I didn't actually even know. I mean, a lot of people are probably familiar with August Wilson.
Yeah.
Thankfully. But you just mentioned somebody else. Now,
the classic black plays from the Negro Ensemble. Well, the Negro Ensemble Company, I think they came into existence around 1967, I think it was. And Douglas Turner Ward, Robert Hooks, and a white gentleman, I forgot his name now, but they helped start it. But it really was Douglas Turner Ward and Robert Hooks running that thing. Robert Hooks was a star in the movies and everything.
Movies and his son as well.
But Douglas Turner Ward was a writer and a director, ended up becoming a director, and really, really was the backbone of that theater company. He's like one of the people, I call him the godfather of black theater, because Douglas Turner Ward, everybody who came out to the Negro Ensemble Company, like let's say Felicia Rashad, Denzel Washington did one play with them. He did a Soldier's play, which later on turned into a Soldier Story movie.
Yep.
Samuel L. Jackson stayed on that stage. Adolph Caesar, all these different people, Barbara Montgomery, all these different people that came out of there were Francis Foster, all were legends and were theater makers, you know what I mean, and actors, and they could sing, dance if they had to, if that was their part of their repertoire, but they were actors, you know what I mean, and once again, me doing Charles Fuller's Zoo Man and the Sign, I was bitten by the bug in the instantaneous nature of theater, right? Because I wanted to do film because I saw, I was seeing films, but the instantaneous nature of theater where you're receiving from an audience right on
away.
The spot,
right?
Where film was costly. Yes. You needed lights, you needed crew, you needed all this other stuff. And we were poor black students. You know what I mean? We had no money to be doing all that.
Let alone do a couple of takes, right?
We were making it happen. Right. But theater was like, wow, this is it. Maybe I'll make my way back to theater one day. And that's how it used to be, where you would start from theater and move into film. When now the business has changed, where you almost have to do a film in order to do theater.
No, that's really true. That's true.
Yeah, so the business has changed now. But once I did that, and I went back to New York City and ended up in an acting apprentice at the Negro Ensemble Company with some three wonderful sisters ran it at the time. Susan Watson Turner, Carol Conn White, rest in peace, she's passed on, and Pamela Faith Jackson. And it was one of the best experiences I had, being an acting intern for at the Negro Ensemble Company.
No, is that company still?
No. Yeah, that's a whole other conversation for another interview.
It's okay.
Well, with black theater in general. You know what I mean?
It goes through the ebbs and flows and stuff.
The Negro Ensemble Company, what black theater has a problem being subscription based. Black people don't go to theater like that. You know what I mean? Or pay for theater like that. We give to churches. Our people gives to the Lord. You know what I mean? You
weren't lying. That definitely is a difference.
So it's hard to. So you're trying to get funding. Their funding came from government sources, came from the National Endowment of Arts, all this different stuff.
And that is definitely
when Reagan hit,
it dried up. Probably.
Yes, he took it away. That's why, we now go Trump. Oh, can't say that Trump. But we lived through Reagan.
Right.
Reagan was
very hard on
we
arts.
Still feel the effects of Reagan and live under Reagan's tyranny. Wow. You know what I mean? We still, as a country, people, everything.
Wow.
We Trump, but it's Reagan. You know what I mean?
All right, so the original source.
So, the original source, yeah. So once those funds dried out, if you looked at their history, they were doing 5, damn near 6 shows a year, down to 3, 1, then 0.
None. Okay.
Yeah, none. And those three sisters tried their best to hold on to it.
Yeah.
But it they owed a tremendous tax debt and all kinds of things.
So you were very fortunate to be able to catch the tail end of that.
That's what I say. I'm on the tail end of
that.
all
Yeah,
this,
no.
So, and then I ended up a lot of other places. I lived in, went back to New York City, worked there for a number of years. Well, I told you I was there in New York City. And then Chicago. I've been in that market, LA. So I've been some everywhere.
Oh, wow.
But now here in Boston.
And we are very grateful to have you here, Jonathan Kitt.
I like it here a lot. I like it. I got to admit, I never would have known, you know what I mean? The history of Boston, being a black man, it was always like, oh no, not Boston. You know what I mean? However, it's been really good. The 3 years I've been here, I'm like, wow, this is cool.
And what about the history of Boston theater? I mean, have you been pleasantly surprised about that?
It's interesting. Boston's theater has been very, very. It reminds me of a smaller Chicago. It's like Chicago. Chicago is a theater town that does very good theater, and the blacks work there more than anywhere else on the planet.
That's right.
More than New York and more than LA. If you're black and you're in the theater, and if you want to do quality work, you work in Chicago, right? Guess what? Boston is just like that.
Really?
Yeah, just a smaller
form of that.
Yeah, nice quality work. Blacks are working. It's pretty good. Now, I hear from some people who've been here for a while, like, oh, it was a little bit more or a different thing. But theater struggles all over.
It fluctuates. It has an ebb and flow of like it's really popular, then it's like, not as popular.
And it's always struggling for money. Even the bigger theaters, the Huntingtons and whatever, they always have budget is a concern.
I'm grateful for the fact that I actually know that there are some actors who are contemporaries who are doing it full time. That is their profession, and they actually get the chance to do it here in Boston. Yeah, which is a rare thing. Sitting down with Jonathan Kitt. So you're in an August Wilson play, Gem of the Ocean. Have you been in any other August Wilson plays before?
Ironically, I directed this play a few years ago. I directed it down in Georgia at the University of Georgia. Actually.
Really?
Yeah, I had a great time doing it and learned a lot directing Gem of the Ocean. But as far as acting, the only other one I've acted in is the piano lesson of that Actor Shakespeare project did last year,
which was also at Highbury Hall.
That was. I mean, we ran out that gate like thoroughbreds, and I mean, it was. I mean. From what it looks like, we were voted like the second best show of the year, which I think we were the best show, of course. And then, in Boston, and we even did it up in, out west in,
Western Mass, right?
Yeah. And Lenox, Mass at, Shakespeare and Company. And that every show from Boston to Lenox, Mass at Shakespeare and Company were standing ovations, were packed, were not a seat in the house and standing O's, and people just, like I tell students, people need to not have the words. When you leave out of that theater, when you coming out as the actor and they're waiting around for you, they need to know they need to not know what to say.
Leave them speechless.
Because, yes, if they just go, oh, good job, that was it, you got more work to do.
Oh, wow. I like that philosophy. I like that's good to know.
You got more work to do.
I know that based on my research that August Wilson passed in 2005.
Yes.
Did you ever have the pleasure of seeing him, meeting him?
It's crazy. As a young actor, I met him like maybe on 2 or 3 different occasions. Yeah. Because at the time, once again, very blessed, when August's work was coming out, it went through Lloyd Richards, right? Up at he was at the theater program up there at Yale. Yeah. It would start there.
Okay. Almost a very good artist.
The second place that it would go is the Alliance Theater because Kenny was there. Oh. Kenny Leon. It was only 2 black artistic directors in the country at one point of major
stature,
major of houses, Lord houses, that's, the regional theater houses or whatever. It was just Lloyd Richards and Kenny Leon, right? So they would come to Atlanta. So I would see the plays. So August would come and speak and whatever. So I met him on one occasion. I think it was for 2 Trains Running. He was down there, I think. Wow. Met him on that occasion. I met him at the National Black Theater Festival in Winston-Salem once. And those were the 2 places. But I think I saw him twice in Atlanta or whatever. But, old school, cool brother.
He does
real black man, man. Just old school, cool, smoking his cigarettes, talking stuff. Like your granddad, you know what I mean? Yeah.
I'm glad you got a chance to meet him. I mean, I've seen his works and I'm happy to be able to be speaking with somebody who did, to get a chance to just speak with him. Now, in this particular play, Gem of the Ocean, You portray Solly Two Kings, a former conductor of the Underground Railroad.
Yep.
And you were actually pictured in a recent newspaper article. Congratulations. Am I oversimplifying it by saying that you're a combo of King David's strength and King Solomon's wisdom? Is that over like simplifying it?
So, no, you're very smart, my brother. That's why we're friends. You're very smart. Once again, I come from a background of black intelligence. You know what I mean? Right. And so what's interesting about that is, yes. How'd you break it down? King David's strength and King Solomon's wisdom?
Yes.
And that is exactly right, because Solly Two Kings, he former runaway slave, said the government was looking for him, so he changed his name. His name used to be Uncle Alfred during slavery, but he changes it to Solly Two Kings because it's Solomon and David, right? Oh. Some people call me Solomon, some people call me David.
Okay.
But one brother said, I'm going to call you Solly, and it stuck. And he said, but my name is Solomon and David, you know. And you're right, and that's exactly what it is: the strength of David and the wisdom of Solomon.
And I should actually kind of give a little bit more of an outline for those people who haven't seen it. It actually takes place post-emancipation.
Yep,
that word being very key in 1904.
Yep.
In the Pittsburgh Hill District.
Yep.
So that kind of is the setting. Yep. I mean, me not necessarily being from that particular time period, it's different. So. Thank you for sharing what you think that particular role is. Did you have to do a lot of historical research?
Oh, well, the director is brilliant, very smart woman.
Monica Duno?
Yeah. She, as a professor at, probably full professor actually, at more than likely, at Dartmouth.
Okay.
And also, I think she worked at Tufts as well prior to that, and has been, teaching and studying August Wilson for over a decade. Right? Okay. So she knows all that, the fine nuances and details of the work. You know what I mean? And she did extensive, talk about backstory and whatnot, which was very good. It was very good. Being a director myself and being, been in the business for long, a lot of times, and being an MFA person, that's different than PhD people, we're more action based.
Okay.
We're more like MFAs. We like, okay, get on your feet and go. You know what I mean? Oh. And then we'll break this down. Like, okay, let's talk a little bit, but now let's move. You know what I mean?
I never knew those subtle differences existed.
Yeah. So where PhDs a lot of times, or doctorates or whatever, theater history and this different stuff, they're more theoretical, and that's why a lot of times programs like here, we look for MFAs a lot of times because that's terminal in our field. And we're more performance based.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? But she was very good on the whole backstories, research, dramaturgy, all that stuff, which was excellent, which was great, yeah.
That is good to know.
Yeah.
Sitting down with Jonathan Kitt. Share, if you can, any meanings of Gem of the Ocean. Is there does the ship represent something?
Well, yes, because the ship represents the voyage across the Middle Passage.
Okay.
And in this, it's a mystical journey to the City of Bones for one of the characters, Citizen Barlow, to redeem himself. And he needs his soul washed. And the way in which you get your soul washed from Aunt Esther, which represents most black folks, we say Aunt Esther, but in August Wilson's world, it's Aunt Esther because it stands for ancestors. She represents the ancestors.
Ooh.
She's 285 years old because of, it's not necessarily the body is, but she's the spirit and the conduit of each Aunt Esther from slavery on.
How does somebody even take on that type of role? 285 with all that kind of weight on you.
Well, what you have to do, everybody's going to approach it differently. Whoever plays that, right? But you don't need an old, decrepit person because it's been maybe 2 or 3 others before you. And she's passing that lineage down to Black Mary. She's going, I don't have that much time left. Are you ready to pick up this mantle, right? And she's the holder of stories. And in the black tradition, we were oral tradition.
Griots, yeah.
Yes, and passing our history along. So that middle passage journey and what you have to go through. So this play really deals with mysticism and spirituality. August was dying at the time writing this. This is the second to the last show he wrote.
Oh.
He had found out at somewhere during this time that he did have the liver failure, I think, or cancer or something like that. I forgot exactly which one, but it was the liver. And because then he had the one more. Radio Golf was the last one. Right before he passed.
Mm-hmm.
But this one, I think he's really grappling with spirituality, which a lot of his shows touch on. Yeah, but this one really deals with spirituality, mysticism, and redemption. And also what is the meaning of freedom? What is true freedom?
Yes, because
where does freedom really live?
Because somebody was saying, and I read that, and I didn't really think of it. There's emancipation, and then there's freedom.
Yes,
and some people confuse the two.
Yes,
and I believe this particular work, definitely clearly shows the difference.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Just a couple more questions for you. He uses Pittsburgh because that's his home.
Yep.
How does Pittsburgh I've never been. Have you ever been?
Yeah. Matter of fact, I went to Pittsburgh last summer for some research, right? Before I did the second run of the piano lesson. And I went to the Hill District, and I went to 1839 Wiley Avenue, where Aunt Esther's house is supposed to be located, right? It's a field now. They got a marker there, what have you. But I went to the August Wilson's house, birth house. I went to, I think it's called the August Wilson African American Cultural Center, I think it's called.
Okay.
And it takes you all through all 10 plays. It takes you through all this different stuff. It was a wonderful experience to walk in the Hill District, to really feel that energy, to research August. It just made a difference. It's a historic, old Black community.
Going there, did that give you something, put something in you? So now when you go forth and do any of his works, you kind of have a different kind of appreciation, different kind of lens?
Well, yeah. I know that it's something funny, like being originally from Harlem, right?
I was about to say, are there
walking on those streets that I know Malcolm X walked on.
Yep.
That I know James Baldwin walked on. You know what I mean? That I know, Shirley Chisholm walked through. You know what I mean? Being that she was Brooklyn, but different. You know what I mean? Like to walk through those places, to be in, and I lived in Bed-Stuy too, so Brooklyn. Yeah.
Okay. True.
So, but it makes a difference. The one, I so always loved and appreciated being Black, man. No matter what. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I've never, ever, ever desired to be
anything else.
You know what I mean? Others might have more money, might have more access, maybe even more control. But guess what? Not of me. You know what I mean? And it's something about doing August's work that's where that lives. I was raised with my grandmother and with my great grandfather and my grandfather for a little while before he passed. But my mother, my aunts, my community. It was a rhythm, a joy, a love. Yes, there was challenges. Yes, there was different things. Me and my friends talk all the time. It's like, man, we grew up in the crack era and it's better than now. You know what I mean? It was just a different way of
different kind of synergy,
community. You know what
yeah.
I mean? My father walked away. My biological father walked away when I was a toddler, but he was never really missed because I had
other extended
community,
family,
extended fathers, stepfather. I had that thing. It was my mother has never been a single mama because the community was
the village was there.
The village was there.
And you see similarities kind of walking around Pittsburgh and walking around Roxbury, even maybe South End.
Yeah.
It's at this particular play, Gem, is at Hibernian Hall.
Yeah.
And so do you have any kind of takeaways that this August Wilson play is there?
Well, ASP is good with the Actor Shakespeare Project. They're good at bringing the show to that venue because they want to develop more audience, more Black and brown people in the audience.
It's intentional.
And also they want them to be theater goers, but also they want them to experience August's work. Because August wrote out of a Black lens,
True.
And it's a historic lens, so that's why they do that.
And not everybody can get downtown. Nothing against downtown. We've got lots of theaters here. I definitely hope that people support them, but that definitely is something to like being able to see community theater in your own community. So you've already answered the why audiences kind of should see the work. What I was going to ask, You've kind of already answered about Esther. I didn't think about the ancestor.
Yeah. So that's why we say Aunt Esther.
So she's
ancestor.
So she's very significant in this play.
She's the holder of memory, of all memory of Black folks' memory. You know what I mean? From the Middle Passage on.
Like basically being literally the Google for Black history.
Yeah.
Or if you have to give it something its own kind of
my character is the one that's trying to figure out what is the true meaning of freedom. What is real freedom? Like I ran to get freedom. I took others to get freedom. But then you get in, and then you have the emancipation, but then they co-opt the freedom and corrupt the freedom, and they do different things to still enslave you. But just not under the name of slavery. You know what I mean? So it's so that's what my character is fighting and struggling against. And I understand it. Now I'm more chill. I'm in my 50s. I'm more chill. I used to be a little more radical when I was young.
You sure?
Now I'm chill. You know what I mean? Now I just sit back and kind of go, hey, okay. You know what I mean? Let me just do what I need to do. You know what I mean? Wow. But I appreciate August's work because they're male heavy. They're black. They are Black men. They are Black men that. In all what that encompasses, that's what August writes. Yes, he has some sisters written in there, female characters, a lot of times one, but then, he might have two, and then I think, Seven Guitars might have three, and then I think, Joe Turner has a little bit more, but the men are the centerpieces of these things, where this one, which he says is the most significant of all the plays because Esther is the centerpiece, and she is the one leading and dictating and is the focal point of the play. And even he said that she is the most significant character out of all the characters he's written in the 10-play century cycle.
It might be a silly, pretty obvious question, but in an age presently where a lot of our history is being, attempted to be erased, please, if you can, share the significance of this play at this time in this space, if you can, in a short amount.
Real quick. I mean, no. I just didn't know what your time schedule is. But really quickly, I think it's very significant because, like you say, powers that be are constantly trying to erase our history and trying to and doing things to make us feel like it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? I'm a firm believer of no one can ride your back unless you bend over and allow them to do it. So when we complain, are you standing up or are you bending over? You know what I mean? So at a time when, like I said, I was fortunate when it was about Black intelligence, upliftment, and Black power. It feels like there's a regression everywhere. And that shouldn't be so, because everything you and I go through is nothing comparatively to the Africans whose bones are buried on this soil that are my heritage. That come there's an old African. The reason I'm standing here today, is because that person, that human,
made that sacrifice for you. To get here,
was trafficked, was stolen, was dehumanized, was everything. We can't even imagine what those people went through. So this is nothing. This is easy comparatively to that. You know what I mean? But yet we have to be willing to stand up and fight and actually honor those people. You know what I mean? Even if we don't want to go all the way back there, but we have to honor the Malcolm X's, the Martin Luther Kings, the Medgar Evers, all these different people, the Ella Baker.
Oh, okay. I was going to say Ella Baker, but I wasn't sure.
Ella
Baker.
Okay, thank you. Ella Baker. Sisters like that. So, what was I saying? We have to honor these people that laid their lives on the line.
Yes.
Right? That laid their lives on the line. That even somebody like August Wilson who told the story factually and with intelligence. You know what I mean? And honestly, we have to honor these people. So when we're in a world like now where even in the play, he says, we it's dangerous out here. You got people walking around hunting each other. You know what I mean? Where now with this whole ice and everything else, going on. And, sometimes we as black folks sometimes like, well, they ain't us, whatever. Guess what? You next.
Yeah. It's true.
you think you next.
Now, as an assistant professor now at an institution, have your students seen you do work?
My students are really cool. They come out. A few of them have come out so far. And every show I've done, they come out. Every show I do, students will show up.
And since you're actually educating the future hopeful actors and directors of the future, is the future looking good? Have you seen?
Yes. Especially this year too. With my I teach the BFA acting cohort, right? And they're about to graduate, and they're a cohort of 14, and they have a showcase here in Boston and one in New York City, and they're really good.
Oh,
all of them are really good. They are really good.
Well, they got a good teacher, of course.
It's 15 of them. Oh, thank you so very much. 15 of them, they're so very good. But our department is good. We have a lot of, performing arts students in the theater and performance department, or area, and they're good. They're good. Yeah.
Well, Jonathan Solly Two Kings Kitt, you're going to be, you've already kind of had a week under your belt. It has been running, and it's running through May 17th over at historic Hibernian Hall in Nubian Square in Roxbury. I'm definitely going to get a chance to come through and see you and cheer with a bunch of Emersonian, more, faculty and staff. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, because you came to see the piano lesson.
I did it. I was very,
that was on fire. I'm always going, that's how I learn theater. That's what I come from. When I just told my whole backstory, that is the theater that, because eventually, you get kind of disillusioned with stuff and you kind of go, okay, I'll chill. I don't have to act for a while. I'll just teach or whatever. I'll just do this.
And you're saying that this is better than piano lesson, or is it just different and it's unique?
Well, it's unique. It's unique because piano lesson was a Pulitzer Prize winning play, right?
True.
And it was earlier works, you know what I mean? Of August, where it was, August was, it's trains moving. Yeah. Where this one moves kind of to me like a ship going across the ocean.
Literally.
Yeah, this moves like a ship going across the ocean. And it's one of these plays that you're going to have a great time. It's very good. It's standing ovations every night. We've been getting good houses, but it's a play that you really got to, really pay attention. Yes, we want all audiences to be responsive. That's what we are. We black folks, we like call and response. White folks in the audience, feel free to call and response too. You know what I mean? Laugh and make sounds, whatever, what hits you. But but it moves differently where you have to kind of really, pay attention.
You're a passenger on a voyage, and it's not necessarily a fast moving train. It's definitely it has a destination.
Yeah. A passenger on a voyage. I love that too, brother. That's a good one too. Yep. Look at you. old playwright in the making.
Man, I'm at an institution of higher learning. Some of it kind of just drips off of me. Man. But man, Jonathan, thank you so much, bro. Appreciate you. Appreciate you once again. Gem of the Ocean running Hibernian Hall now through May 17th through the Actors Shakespeare Theater. And if people want to find out more or have any inclinations about getting tickets, they can go to the Actors Shakespeare Theater website. So you can go to actorsshakespeareproject.org for more information. And so thank you very much, Jonathan. From Studio 889, Mo Wilkes, have yourself an amazing day. Peace.
Peace.
Cool. Thank you, man.